This is an advanced version of the xylophone that we created earlier. This is all the 8 keys that we had created and programmed, but it also additionally has a playback button and a reset button. As you can probably guess, what the playback button does is it will play back anything that we had initially played. So here's an example. So as you just heard, when I pressed the playback button, it played back the notes that I played earlier. I do want to mention this is not perfect. Here is another example where the playback will change the initial notes timings a little bit. So what I'm basically doing is I'm playing back all the notes that I had initially played 1 second apart. The reason why I'm doing so is because that's an easier example to demonstrate. So I'm going to initially show you guys an app where you're going to play back all the notes 1 second apart. So let's get started. I'll go back to my original app. So this has just the basic 8 keys and nothing else, and I'll show you guys the block code. Now I do want to mention there are basically 3 parts to this playback and reset. The first thing that we obviously need to do is store all the notes that are being played. So this play note procedure that we had created earlier, that plays all the notes. So whenever it is playing a sound file, we also want to store those sound files somehow so that we can later on go back and play them while we are doing the playback. So that's the first thing, storing all the sounds that we are playing. The second thing we want to do is when we hit the reset button, we want to erase all the info that we had stored. And the third thing is we want to play back all the notes that we had stored. So I'll have the storing all the notes part. I'll create the storing all the notes part in this part of the tutorial. In the second part, I'll demonstrate how to erase it when I hit the reset button, and in the last part of the demo, I'll show how to play back all the notes that I'm storing. Now whenever we store something, whenever we store any info, there are basically 2 ways to store an info, either a variable or a list. A list is basically a collection of variables. So in order to store all the sounds that I'm playing, I'm going to go to built-in definition and define a variable. I'm going to call it notes, and then I'm going to go to built-in list and drag this make a list block. So over here what I just did was I created a list. A list is basically a collection of variables, and I can put in multiple pieces of information in the list. So the first information will be the item, which will be given by the number 1. So the list contains multiple items. The first item is item 1, the second item is item 2, and so forth. So I just created a list. Now what I want to do is add the info for each note that is being played when I'm touching any of the keys. So this play note procedure over here, that plays all the notes when I'm touching any of these buttons. So over here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to built-in lists and then drag this add items to list and attach it here. Then I'm going to go to my blocks, my definitions, drag this global node, so that's my list name, and the item that I'm going to add is going to be my blocks, my definition, actually my blocks sound.source. So what this does is whenever I'm playing my xylophone, whenever each sound is played, that also automatically gets added to this list. And we can actually visualize that. I can right click on this notes and set this watch. And now notice what happens when I play something. So as you can see, whenever I play a key, that's being played and that's being stored in my list. So that's the first part where I'm storing all the files that I'm playing in a list, which is a collection of variables. So in the next part, we will see how we can erase it when we hit a reset button.